Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andrew Hunter from Plugin Results, and I want to welcome you to the call today. Today I have something that I want to share with you that I feel is very special. It's something that has really been lacking in the way I can manage my webinars that I deliver to my subscribers and customers. And the whole process of using WebinarJam to deliver my webinars through the Google Hangout platform has really been overall very satisfactory to me. I say very satisfactory. That sounds kind of poor, doesn't it? It's been great. I moved from GoToWebinar in January of this year. I left you can't find anything like that today. I gave that $99 a month up to commit myself to using WebinarJam at that time. Looking back on that, you know, almost 11 months now, 10 months, it has been the right decision for me to make in my business. I like the way WebinarJam works. It has been a replacement for me for GoToWebinar, although it's not perfect, and certainly the Google Hangouts platform is not perfect. You know what? For the price, you can't beat it, quite frankly. And for those of you that are on the call today, you should be using WebinarJam. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have registered for this webinar, right? So let's just chime in here. Let's see, is there anybody that's on the call listening right now that does not use WebinarJam? If you do not use WebinarJam, please type I don't use it in the chat box, just so I know. I mean, I'm just curious to know who does and who doesn't. I really suspect that the majority of you, if not all of you, use WebinarJam. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on the call, right? So just take a moment, type that in, just so I know, because I really want to gauge this to the right audience. In the meantime, I'll keep moving forward. So here's the registration page, which you're all familiar with because that's where you went to register for this webinar. As you can see from this registration page, this is, just give me a moment here to get the screen up. This is the page that I created on my domain on pluginresults.com. I created this page to using OptimizePress 2.0. Looks fantastic. This is an out-of-the-box template for the plugin OptimizePress 2.0. If you're familiar with it, you understand what I'm saying. If you are avid in learning, signing up to other webinars, then the format itself looks pretty familiar to it. It's an attractive layout that Lead Pages uses, OptimizePress, Profit Builder, and so on. This is just one of the typical templates that you would see. Now, what's cool about this is that, yeah, it looks great. Number two is, yeah, it's hosted on my domain. And number three is it has the flexibility of having a one-step or two-step opt-in, right? So this is what's called a two-step. There's a button that they have to take action, click on that, and then it pops up the registration form. There's a mentality behind that of they've already taken action by clicking on the button, so it's a lot easier for them to actually go ahead and enter their name and email address to register for the webinar. That's the whole idea behind the two-step process. It's very attractive right now. It's a popular way of setting up registration pages or opt-in forms. You'll see that quite commonly used now. So that's the way I set it up in this form. I could have easily embedded the registration form directly in the spot right here instead of having a button. I could have had the name and email field and then the register button right there in its place. I could have easily done that. So I wanted to share that with you. The other thing that's really cool about how this is structured is I could actually sign up people for multiple webinars at the same time. Where with WebinarJam, you create one webinar and they sign up for that one webinar. But what we can actually do now is create 6 webinars in WebinarJam and then have them all linked to one registration button on your own WordPress site. So that's another very cool feature that we have now that we have available to us to use in our business. The last one I want to mention is that in addition to being able to register directly on my site, once the registration process is complete, you know, they're redirected to a thank you page. If you're familiar with WebinarJam, you know that the thank you pages are, you know, less than ideal in terms of formatting and design and layout. I personally just don't like them. And they're a little rigid, and there's no real way to modify it the way I'd like it to look. That's all changed. So now what we do is we can actually keep the person who registered for the webinar, they're redirected to a page directly on our site. So so both the registration page and the confirmation page are all hosted on my site, and I can make it look however I want. And that's exactly what you experienced when you registered for this webinar that we're holding right now. So those are some of the really the obstacles that we overcame with this new product that we've created. And you registered for the webinar, so you know that on the confirmation page I told you a little bit more about this product. The product's called WP OptinJam. And what I want to do now is I want to take you behind the scenes and show you how I actually created that, and give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have about the product itself. And I can show you some more some of the features in terms of how you could set it up, you know, embed buttons or embed forms, and where you can place those and things like that. So, you know, it's a really cool little add-on to WebinarJam that really just, I like to say, it really just unlocks WebinarJam. And for those of you that love WordPress like me, you know that it's a game changer in terms of being able to keep people on your site, add a whole lot more flexibility in how you create your registration and confirmation pages, and just overall better user experience. So I'm going to flip over now to the admin panel for this webinar that you registered for today. So here it is. So this is that first campaign, WP OptinJam demo. I created it October 23rd. There's a couple of short codes there. I'll talk about those in a moment. You can see that 165 people looked at the registration page and 75 registered. So there's a conversion rate of 45%. Is that low? Well, yeah, kinda, but why is that? Well, the fact of the matter is not everybody uses WebinarJam. So I didn't expect everybody to want to jump on board in this and learn more about how to use this particular product, or if they've never even used WebinarJam before, right? Perhaps they use GoToWebinar or another product that allows you to use Google Hangouts. So the conversion rate is 45%. Now here's where it gets interesting. I can see the confirmation view. So this is the thank you page, the confirmation page that they are redirected to. 79 people looked at it. So, you know, it's actually 4 higher than the registrations. The reason for that is probably somebody went back again and a couple of times and viewed the confirmation page. Could have even been me. Now the offer clicks is a unique way that we've built in here, so you can actually track if you put an offer on your confirmation page. Perhaps it's a learn more about, or perhaps it's a buy now button, or anything like that. You can actually specify what that link is, and if they click on that link, it'll count, right? So I can see that 41 people, of those 79 or 75 people, 41 clicked on the offer link. So the click-through rate was 52%. Pretty cool statistic. That tells me that people were actually interested. Half the people were actually interested in learning more about the product. So of those 51%, so roughly 21, 22 people who clicked on the offer, 22 people, sorry, of those 41 who clicked on the offer, right, some people bought. And some of you are on the call today. Wilfred says, where was that? I have bought your product yesterday. There you go, right? So some of you on the call have already bought it, but you're interested in learning more about the product and get some answer any specific questions you might have. That's fantastic. But those are valuable metrics right at my fingertips here, and I can manage all of my campaigns on one screen. So this is a sort of an additional level of insight that I can use to manage my WebinarJam campaigns, and I can look at this all on one screen, and I can actually see if anybody has expressed interest in the offer that I put in the confirmation page. Can't tell if they bought, but I can certainly see if they click through to look at the offer. Now, so that's basically the campaign screen. You can create an unlimited number of campaigns, and each one has a unique shortcode. There's a number of different shortcodes here. I'll show you how to place those during this call. But we have a shortcode for to place on a content page, so on a page or a post. We have a sidebar shortcode. So if you paste that within a text widget on your sidebar, it'll actually embed either the registration form or the two-step method using a button to click on for a pop-up. And then we have the confirmation shortcode, which is the shortcode you place on your thank you page, your confirmation page. And what that generates is, it says the title of the webinar they registered for, and both the live link and the replay link. You would have saw it when you registered for this webinar. That's what gets embedded by using that shortcode. And you can place it on any page or post if you want. You can make it look however you want it to look. That's actually how the triggers that you get, you place on those pages and posts to be able to display that content. Now let me open up the webinar details itself. Let's edit this particular campaign. So there's a number of settings here, not very many. It doesn't take you long to do. Give it a campaign name. This is unique to you. The visitors don't see this. This is just for you to be able to track it. Here you enter your Webby code, it's called. It's what WebinarJam calls that specific unique identifier for that webinar. Each one has a unique identifier, and you grab that from your campaign settings in WebinarJam under integration settings. And you'd enter that there. Then you specify where they're redirected to after they complete the registration form. So this is your own thank you page on your site. And then you specify, if you do have a link that you want to track, you would enter it here. And then, so if they click on that link, you could have 12 different links in your thank you page. I don't recommend it, but you could have 12 different links. If they click on this link, then it will be tracked. If they click on any other link, it's not tracked. It doesn't affect your metrics or anything like that. Then we move into the type of registration method. So here we have what's called a one-step or a two-step. One-step is strictly where it's embedded on the page. So when they land on the page, they see the form, they fill it out. The two-step is a button. If they click on the button, there's a pop-up with the registration form in the button. That's the more popular approach right now to having people opt into a list or a webinar. So if I had one step, the system's a little slow right now. There, if we have one step, we only see the registration button, but with the two-step, it shows a join button. And I've got them formatted both basically the same. I've got the join button a lot wider actually, just because I was using it for two different purposes. I have it actually placed on that other registration page that we just looked at. I have it here, and I also have it down here. And that's the wider format, right? And then, you know, enter any text you want on the button and so on, the hover over colors, all that kind of stuff. You can format the buttons to look however you want. And then we move into the option of having a headline above your pop-up. So here I say enter your email to reserve a spot for the webinar. I specified the text color and the font size. I have the option of including a phone number. So if I click on that and click save, let's just give you a quick demonstration of that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to refresh this webinar page. And now what I should see is the phone number fields on the registration form. Wait till it refreshes and click. So there's the phone number field, the country field and the phone number field right there. Okay. If you wanted to collect that, you certainly can. Uncheck that box, click save again, and then we're back. Okay, so that's basically how you go about configuring what your buttons will look like and what content you'll display on that registration form itself. But now let's talk about using the different shortcodes and how you can place those. Well, let's go back to the dashboard. I'm going to grab the shortcode here for, let's say, the sidebar. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to open up my sidebar. The Pro version is for unlimited personal use sites, so you can't use the Pro version on client sites, or you can't resell your site. That's generally the terms that I have on my licensing of my products. Go to widgets. Now, putting an opt-in form, a registration form, or the pop-up button on the sidebar is very easy. I'm going to go to sidebar. I'm going to grab a text widget. Where are my text widgets? Right there. I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to place it at the top. And I'm just going to paste the shortcode in there, and I'm going to click Save. And then now what I'll do is I will, let's see here. That's not what I want. Boy, my server is slow right now, or else it's my computer. Okay, let's go. All right, so there is a button right there, okay? So get on the webinar. If I click on that, there's the pop-up to enter my name and email address and register for the webinar. That's how easy it is to put it in the sidebar. Now, if I wanted to just have it embedded, I could easily do that. Let's just make a quick change to the form, and we'll change it back. Let's go back to campaign settings. Can I use WP OptinJam without optimized press? You certainly can. I'll show you an example of that momentarily. Click on Edit this campaign. And we have localized the language, Wilfred, so you should be able to convert it to German, no problem. If you've done one of our other plugins, it works much the same way. So I'm going to switch this to a single opt-in now, or one step, and click Save. And if I go back here to my registration, my sidebar, this button, if I refresh it now, should no longer be a button. It should actually be a registration form. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. So now we have a registration form. You know, they enter their name and email address and register for the webinar. They're redirected to the thank you page that I specify. Very easy and dynamic. You can place it on any page, on any post, and also in your sidebar. And like I said, it works with Optimized Press 2.0 simply by pasting in the shortcode. Now, the last thing I want to show you is under the, actually, let me just change this to two-step. Make sure I get that back. Click Save. Or refresh. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to show you is, wow, just slow today. Good. Is I talked about registering people for multiple webinars. Why would that be advantageous? Well, the fact is that oftentimes you may hold a series of webinars. It might be some free training that you deliver over 3 separate webinars, or it might be some premium training that you provide where you provide them, you know, say it's a boot camp with 6 webinars. Well, you could create those 6 webinars directly in your WebinarJam account, and then take the unique Webby code and paste them in here and just separate them by commas. So I could put a comma in there, enter the next one, and so on and so on and so on until I get all 6 in there, and click Save. And then what happens is when they complete that registration form, they're registered for all 6 at once. Huge time saver. Streamlines the entire process for both you and your subscribers. So, you know, I was really excited about this. This is a very simple tool to be able to use to apply in your business if you use WebinarJam to hold webinars through Google Hangout platform. This is a great little tool that really addresses some weaknesses in the WebinarJam platform, in my opinion. You know, like if I flip over to my WebinarJam account, where is it? So here's my WebinarJam account. Let me just, I need to switch screens here. Okay, should be able to see my WebinarJam account now. And I've got a number of webinars here. If I just want to open up one, click edit here for this current webinar we're on, and wait till that loads. Will WebinarJam send out emails before webinars as usual? Yes, and you should have received one. I know I did. You should have received one when you, you know, like an hour ago prior to the start of this webinar. When can we download OptinJam? It is available in the members area now. It was put in yesterday, probably just after you purchased it, Wilfred, but it's there. So go to registration, and here you can see, you know, the default templates. Although they're somewhat nice, you know, you go tired of them pretty quickly, right? There's only so many you can choose from, and after a while, there's like over 12,000 users of WebinarJam, according to the owner, and you get tired of these formats after a while. So it's nice to be able to have that flexibility to be able to create and then style the webinar pages to look however you want it to look. So, any questions with what I showed you today? This is, you know, this is a very easy plugin to use, and it's specific. It's designed for one purpose, and that is to make the most of WebinarJam. So obviously, you have to own WebinarJam in order to use this product. And if you use WebinarJam on a regular basis and you're a WordPress user, then no doubt you're going to get a lot of value out of this plugin. Let's see here. Let me flip over this page. That's not it. Let's go here and go register. Last thing I want to show you is this is an example of a webinar page I created on a default WordPress theme that, you know, it's just a full width page. I put a headline here. This is just an H1 tag. I put a video off to the left. I put the webinar details on the right, and there's the register button right there that they would click on to register for the webinar. Pretty simple and straightforward. That's exactly how you could create a very simple registration page on a WordPress site and make it look basically however you want it to look. Yeah, I can do that, Tom. Let me also just get it up on the screen here. And it is special, I believe. Let's check that. There it is. So that is the URL. Let me paste it into the chat box for everybody. There you go. And lost my page. Okay, so this product is being released on Friday of this week, and it will sell for $27 for the Pro Version and $67 for developer. I sent out one email this week for this webinar just one email to my customers. I didn't even send it to my subscribers. I sent it specifically to my customer base. So only my customers have been able to take advantage of this offer. It's 50% off the launch price. These prices will increase once the launch is over. But these are the launch prices, and these are the discounted prices just for my customers. So I've had a number of customers who clicked through. If you recall from the statistics I showed you at the beginning of this call, that I had 41 people click on this to get to this page, and I had I think I had, if I do the math correctly, 25%, roughly 25% of those people bought it. And this is the page they bought it from. So there's an opportunity for you to be able to grab this at a discounted price. Only buy this product if, number one, you own WebinarJam, you use WebinarJam, and number two, you use WordPress. Otherwise, this probably isn't for you. Just want to clarify that to make sure there might be somebody on the call who does not, but this is certainly the best tool you will find if you're both a WebinarJam user and a WordPress user. What are the developer rights? So the difference between the Pro version and the developer version. The Pro version is for unlimited number of installations on domains you personally own. The difference, the developer version, in addition to that, allows you to install it on client sites, and it also allows you to resell any of your existing sites with that plugin installed on it. We have one more feature that we are adding to this plugin this week, and that feature is, if you recall during the registration process, if your memory is really good, which mine isn't, you would have recalled that on the confirmation page where it showed the short code renders the live URL and the replay URL. What we're adding to that is to show a button for adding it to your calendar. So to be able to add a reminder to your calendar, you know, typically you see that on confirmation pages for GoToWebinar and other platforms. We're actually adding that in as well. So it's not something we can pull from through the WebinarJam API. It's something we have to add. So Alex is working on that and adding that in this week. There will be a replay of this call, and I will send out the replay link after it's posted. I haven't decided if I'll actually post the replay on the site or if I'll just send a link to the YouTube replay file. Any other questions before we wrap it up today? Any questions on holding webinars using WebinarJam, if you're a user or if you're just getting started? I mean, I've done it quite a few times now, and I know my way around the software. For those of you that use MemberSonic, you'll know that we recently added the ability to automatically register customers for webinars when they become a member on your site. So if, let's say, for example, you have a hybrid coaching program where you're teaching people at a boot camp, and you're going to deliver that content through a series of 6 webinars with some downloadable content as well. So they sign up, they make a purchase, they become a member in your members area. At the same time, they're automatically added to those 6 webinars, so they don't have to register for them. So we added that functionality in MemberSonic, which was very well received, and it's been something that I've been wanting in my own business as well. And now this is just a logical extension of that. This is a perfect way to be able to market to you know, subscribers, not necessarily have them be a customer up front, but to be able to reach out to your subscriber base, get people on your list or your existing subscribers to be able to more easily get them signed up for your webinar and provide more content and stuff like that. Which calendar buttons will be added? They will be the iCalendar and the Google Calendar. So for a Microsoft Outlook calendar. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. Yeah, Wilfred, you want to go to wpoptinjam.com/login. So that'll take you to the login page, /login. I just want to make sure I'm clear. When user registers and I have multiple webinars, WebinarJam knows to send out for multiple webinar invites, not just the first one. That is correct. So if they register for all 6, like if you've got 6 webinars and they register for all 6 at once, then they will get a confirmation email for all 6 at the same time. And if you staggered these webinars, which obviously you would, then 1 hour before each webinar, however you set up that reminder email, they'll be triggered to be sequenced based on that follow-up sequence. Okay, thanks for that, Wilfred. Will this work for evergreen webinars through WebinarJam as well? Well, WebinarJam doesn't do evergreen webinars, right? It's only for live webinars. They do have the ability where you can put a replay video in there and stuff like that, but it's really not an evergreen setup. Yeah, so like, because they had that EBS, Evergreen Business Systems, and I think they took that down. I'm not quite sure about that. I personally don't use it. I've tried it, and quite frankly, I didn't like it. But I love WebinarJam. I didn't like EBS. Good question, Michael. This offer will be taken down within most likely the next 24 hours. I haven't 100% decided. I need to send up a follow-up email to my customer base to let them know that. For anybody who missed the webinar, and they can catch the replay, but certainly will be taken down before the launch date. Excellent. You're welcome. Good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hey, I want to thank you for taking the time to hang out with me over this last half hour, and love sharing insights into some of the products we've created. And this is the most recent one. And for those, like I said, it's one problem, one solution. And if you're one of those people with that problem, then this is definitely the solution. So thanks for taking the time. If you have any questions, any problems downloading, accessing the product, using the product, whatever, just fire us off a help desk ticket, and either Alex or myself will help you out. Appreciate it, everybody. Take care. God bless. Talk to you all later.